Hi guys, and welcome back to Third Act. So, for those of you who watch, it's been a minute. So we do apologize about that.
Sorry.
Various things came up.
Life, like always.
Life, holidays, work, things like that. But we're back, and we have 4 videos planned over the next 2 weeks, so that we can just catch ourselves up and get ready for the Palm Award nominations. So we're gonna try to get through these as quickly as possible, and hopefully you guys enjoy them as much as you did the last ones. As we said in our last video, if you watched, we are going to be talking about Edinburgh High School's In the Heights, Robert Vela's Baskerville, PSJASWHS's Anonymous, and for the interest of time, we are going to add a 4th one that wasn't originally supposed to be in this video, but we're going to be talking about Little Shop from PSJ North.
Yes. So, for the first show we're going to be talking about today is going to be In the Heights from Edinburgh High. I actually didn't get to see the show, so Javi did, but I'm going to be able to ask him a few questions about the show today. First impressions, what did you think of the show?
So when you first walk into the theater, you sit down, you're able to see the set right away.
Okay.
I like that. I like seeing the different interpretations of the original set translated into like different like local performances. I think it's really cool to see how they kind of bring those same elements into it, but it's not obviously like a replica, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool to see how they interpret that kind of setup, and how it works for them in their theater setting. For those of you who have seen the original set design, it's obviously like 2 buildings, and then it has like a staircase that goes off stage behind those buildings, and then you can see like the backdrop of the George Washington Bridge, right? In this one, what I enjoyed was that there was a staircase behind the buildings that went up onto kind of like an like, I don't want to say a bridge, but I mean that's basically what it is, like a platform up there that kind of connected both buildings, if that makes any sense.
Connected both buildings?
Yeah.
So it was meant to be like a fire escape, but it was connected?
I would say that's why I'm saying like a bridge, because I don't think it was like a fire escape. It was just like a pathway on top, which I thought was interesting, and I'll go into my next point using that with their use of space. So they did utilize that upstairs platform for levels during different musical numbers. And then of course underneath was like entrances and exits for some people, but it represented like the street. So I got that from the way they put this up together.
So In the Heights is also a very choreographed show, right? Like you have a lot of big numbers.
Yeah.
In the show, what did you think of their choreography?
I feel like the choreography did its job, but I feel like I could have used a little bit more energy in some instances. I felt like in certain songs, like for example, like The Club and 96,000, for those of you who know those songs, like those songs are
I love those songs.
Iconic, like super, like the beat is, you know, like really heavy and like upbeat and very lively. The dancing wasn't like not those things. I just felt like it could be amped up so much more. Okay. Like I feel like their energy could have been a little higher.
Okay.
You know, it's difficult in a way that like you all have to be on the same page, like because even if there's like 1 or 2 that like aren't, you know, like the energy's not there for them, it can kind of bring the whole thing down. As bad as that sounds,
no, it's true. It takes a village, right? Like it takes the whole cast and crew and ensemble members to be on it, right?
And I think
and
like,
you can tell when somebody's not.
Yes.
Turned on.
And I think for me, like, I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion, but I do feel like this ensemble should be just as much part of the story as the main characters. Just because it is about a community, it is about the culture. It is about the different cultures that live within that neighborhood. So I feel like having that be present is very, very important.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next show, any standouts from the show?
Yes, I had several. So I do want to shout out the girls in this ensemble. Because I feel like, and not to say that the boys didn't do their job, but for me, like when it comes to standing out, I think those girls definitely know what that means. I don't know if you guys are in mariachi or you're in choir or something, but the lung capacity. I feel like, I'll just go straight into my first one. Vanessa. She was played by Amber Gonzalez. I don't believe that I've ever seen her in a show before, but I want to say this might be my first show.
Okay.
At Edinburgh High? Question mark?
Well, also consider the pandemic, right? We didn't get to see a lot of these people. Like.
Very true.
So maybe she's been in theater for a little bit, but we just haven't seen her before.
Correct. Oh no, this isn't my first show. Liza Minnelli. I saw Mamma Mia. But after that, I haven't been back. Because I didn't get to see Hairspray. And then COVID hit. She did a really good job, in my opinion. I think that role is definitely more complex than people like to admit.
Yeah.
I feel like some people think it's just like Usnavi's love interest. But I think, and honestly, like, I did feel that way too. Until I saw the movie.
Until you saw Melissa?
Yes.
Melissa
and so I mean, I know that that's like a different interpretation, right? But like, I really like the way she portrayed that character because
a lot of people didn't like her.
Sound off in the comments if you didn't like her, so we can
Melissa,
fight. And I think one thing I will say to Amber, if you're watching, I really, really like the tone of your voice and the strength of it. Just don't be afraid of that. And as someone who is constantly afraid of that himself, I feel you. But I feel like there are moments where you kind of held back. And honestly, I think it was there. Like, it was there. Next person I want to talk about is Nina. She was played by Sherilyn Balderas. This girl is so tiny, yet so talented. She's another one that I hadn't seen yet, so I do apologize if you were in the previous shows that we mentioned. But I really enjoyed her performance. She played Nina, and that is the character that I resonate with the most overall.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't relate to Nina?
I feel like, I don't know.
Hispanics that just want to breathe.
Yeah, I feel like I relate to her character a lot, so I feel like I always have like a soft spot for people who play that character just because it's really like, it hits close to home.
Yeah.
But I think she did a beautiful job. I think for me with her, I think I could have used a little more like oomph. Because I feel like some people do play Nina a little more soft-spoken sometimes.
Yes.
And in all honesty, she's not.
Yeah.
Like, she isn't. I mean, if you look at her arc over the whole point of the story, she's supposed to be that like heart, but she's also like that, you know.
You see the breakthrough in Everything I Know.
Yeah.
Right? Like
100%.
But you also gotta see her strength and breathe.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I feel like as a character, she definitely gave me that developing arc.
Okay.
Throughout the show. So kudos to you. I really enjoyed the performance. And last but definitely not least, I do have to talk about Usnavi, who was played by Robert Flores.
Okay.
This role could make or break the show.
Yeah.
Like if you could have splendid cast, but if your Usnavi cannot deliver, this show is not gonna be good. Mostly because he's literally the driving force of the story.
Yeah.
And he acts as your narrator. So it's kind of like, without that driving force, the show can go nowhere really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That did not happen. That was not the case in the show. I feel like he really, really stepped it up, and I feel like he performed really well.
Wow.
It was very believable, and I feel like he gave it his all. Like, I really do feel like he He did a lot. So congratulations to you if you're watching. I really enjoyed the performance. And overall, as a show too, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, congratulations. I wish I could have seen the show.
Okay, so the next show that we're going to be talking about is Robert Vella's Baskerville. So this one we saw pretty early on in the season. Like really
a long time ago, girl.
So welcome back. Bringing it into 2022 with us. So what did you think of the show? What was your first impression?
So first impression, curtains were open. I didn't see a set. Right?
How did that make you feel?
Okay, here's the thing with no sets for
She's
me.
gonna go off because, okay, we'll talk about that later. Go.
I'm very big when it comes to spacing, right? Like, if you have a big space, you gotta fill it, right? You gotta fill it. You gotta fill it with something. Whether it's actors or whether it's a set, right? And so I was a little confused. I was like, is it today? But here's the thing. I didn't care. I didn't care if I had a set or not. Like, they really pulled it off really well. But they had, speaking still of the set, they had sometimes pieces come in and out, right?
Yes.
That helps in the sense of like if you know where you're at, right? And they had a lot of images in the back screen, right?
Projections.
Projections, yes. That helps too. It's just different. It's different when you have like an actual like a set or multiple set pieces instead of just one in a backdrop. It just fills the space, and they have a big theater, in my eyes, right? But I don't know. At the end of the day, I overlooked it because it was great acting. So when you have great acting, right, like those things don't matter. But it's just a me thing. I think that's just a me thing. And right, it's my opinion about the sets.
Yeah.
But please use your space.
If I can jump in real quick to talk about the set. So I am in love with shows that do that, where there's like minimal set and they kind of just take you there with your imagination, because those are the shows that really know what they're doing. However, I am gonna have to disagree with you. I love shows that have minimal sets. They are my bread and butter. I love it. I love when people can bring you there without being like, now we're gonna go into a hotel and bring in all these set pieces. We're in a hotel.
Okay.
Hold on. I like when it's like minimal. Like, I mean, like maybe like a desk and then like people come in and like you have like your little bell. Like, I like little things that like can kind of give you that idea of where you're supposed to be within the scene, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So like, I like shows like that. I don't think that every single show should be like that, right? So I feel like the projections in this show did their intended job, but I feel like I would have liked a little bit more of the set pieces to come in. And I'm talking, like I said, like not like a whole set, right? Because you do move from different...
They have a lot of...
Yeah, like there's different locations that they go to throughout the show. Like, it's a lot.
And I get that, but it's also like, are you going to use the same chair for the same scene over and over again? Right? So you have to use different pieces so you find something different. So one thing that I truly love about Robert Vella is that they do their costumes really, really well. I've never seen a show with them where I'm like, what kind of costume is that? Like, it always fits the period. It fits like the mood of the show. Like the theme overall is there. They've always had a very solid costume designer or costume pieces that, you know, they work on. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they rent them. I don't know if they just have like a huge storage of different costumes, but I don't remember seeing any pieces that were used like from previous shows. And that's what I like. The fact that we go see multiple of their shows and I never see the same costume on stage. And I've seen that in several schools, right? And sometimes they don't have the money to go get more costumes, obviously. Some people don't have the budget that they should. But I really like their costumes. They're very detailed, and you can tell the personality of the person that's wearing them within the character.
But I think it's also going back to like the resources. Like there's also like a really beautiful it's a really beautiful element when they can repurpose the costume that they have for something else and make you say that you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
You have. So I mean, I think it just depends. Like, yes, money is sometimes an obstacle, but it doesn't always have to be. I do want to talk about the lights for a little bit. I think going hand in hand with the set, I feel like with the minimal set pieces, I feel like the lighting worked for me. Because there really wasn't much to light, if that makes any sense. And it's not a bad thing, but I feel like since there weren't as many set pieces, it was really about lighting up the characters and the actors on stage, which I feel they did beautifully. And there was a change of ambiance or mood, in my opinion, when it came to each location. Okay, I want to talk about some standouts real quick before we move on to the next show.
Okay.
For me, Kyler and Gonzalo. Kyler played Sherlock Holmes and Gonzalo played Dr. Watson. I think your chemistry between each other was really, really, really fantastic. I think you guys played off of each other really well. I felt like we see more of Gonzalo's character in this show, which was odd because I feel like Sherlock Holmes is always like the star of a Sherlock Holmes type thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But the times that we did see Kyler, I remember every single one of them.
Yeah.
The accent was beautiful. I loved it. I thought it was very natural. It sounded very natural. And it sounded really cool with how your humor played into it as well. Gonzalo, King.
Cutie!
I feel like your comedic timing just gets better every single time we see you. And I feel like you're just thriving.
I really hope I get to see him in one of those. I really I love seeing Gonzalo in shows. He's such a star.
He really is. But I really enjoyed every single time that you were on stage as well. I feel like you were that driving force in this show for the story, and you did a really excellent job. I really enjoyed it. And last but definitely not least, I do have to talk about Sebastian Gonzalez. There's a bunch of characters, like 30 plus maybe, or like 20 plus. And they're supposed to be played by the same like 4 to 5 people. But I think they did a really good job at utilizing more troop members and dividing it up amongst more people. Because it did also give you that vibe like we are moving from place to place. And I feel like when you have a smaller troop and you use those 4 people, sometimes it can get kind of repetitive because you're like, wait, I just saw this person. Oh, but he's this person, you know? And that didn't happen with the show. Each character that they came out as, I felt had a distinct like personality, way of walking, speaking, like little mannerisms. So I feel like they did a really excellent job with that when it came to like distinguishing between each of their characters. But Sebastian, if you're watching this, I'm a huge fan. You literally like you stole that show for me, honestly. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, you really came out, and he's not on stage for that long. Yeah. But every single time he was, like, my stomach hurts from how hard I was laughing. You just are so expressive. Like, you're so expressive, and you just go there. Like, it's not even like, oh, like, I don't know how they're gonna react. Like, you literally just gave it. Like, you were just like, here it is. You can like it or you cannot like it. Like, here's my character.
Yeah, he's always done that.
So I just really, really enjoyed that. And it just made the whole show like so enjoyable.
Alrighty, so the next show we will be talking about is Little Shop of Horrors from PSJA North. And I actually didn't get to see this one either. I know somebody throw something at me, not you. I really wish I could have seen the show because I have a really close connection to Little Shop, like we talked about the last time that we talked about Little Shop, and how we're going to talk about Little Shop from Hickey Row. I love this show. I love seeing different interpretations, but since I didn't get to see it, I'll stop talking. What did you think? What was your first impression?
So this was actually the very first show that I saw in the season.
Oh, that's right.
So we're taking it back to September. Yes.
September?
Yes. Welcome to 2022. But yes. So obviously, PSJ North stage is humongous. Like,
girl, what?
What? But I feel like they did a really good job at utilizing the space that they had for the number of people that were in the cast.
How many people did they use on their ensemble? Was it like a big amount?
It was a good number. I don't think it was everyone.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there was a lot more tech people. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah. But I feel like they definitely needed a lot more people backstage, I would say. But it worked. So I guess I'll go straight into like the beginning of the show. So I think I talked about it when I talked about Robert Villa. The Doo-Wop Girls. They're the first people that we hear. So they need to be on it. Like, on it. And these 4 girls did not disappoint.
Good.
I truly was like grinning ear to ear every time they came out. The harmonies were great. I feel like there were moments where they could have been slightly tighter, but I think with the amount of movement that you guys were doing, I feel like it's bound to happen. And when I say like slightly tighter, like that's just me being nitpicky. Like honestly, like they weren't bad. It's just like I feel like though this is a role where like they have to be like
very tight. Yeah.
Like, you know, like really
Besties.
close together. Yeah. And so I feel like you guys did a really good job at being that driving force. Okay, I think I'll start with the set.
Okay.
So, like I said, they did a really good job at utilizing their space. PSJ North does a really good job of utilizing their space a lot. The side of the stage where they have that little room type thing, like it's like a square, like indent, that was used for the dentist office.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, of course, like Skid Row and the shop took place main stage. And they utilized the side of the stage on this side for like little things like that, like the radio interview. And little things like that, like entrances and exits.
That's so cool.
But what I really enjoyed about this set was, I guess, how spacious it was for me. Because obviously we know how big the plant gets eventually, right? Spoiler alert for those of you who don't know.
Oh my goodness.
But I really liked how spacious it was. For me, I think it could have been slightly messier, in my opinion. It looked a mess, but like an organized mess. It could have been a little more like dirty, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know, because I feel like I think of Skid Row and I think of like dirt. I liked the shop, and I liked there was like a set piece that revolved and there was like steps up and it was a door. And it was like a stoop, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And I know like Audrey came out of it once and she went inside once. It was used for like entrances and exits. I really just liked how it spaced out, because when the ensemble came in and when they did musical numbers, like it just worked, in my opinion. And the shop was a little elevated too. So it wasn't like just all flat. So that was cool too. I think the only thing I will have to say about the set, there was no clear distinction of like, how do I say it? Like when they were outside and then when they were inside. Like how quickly they got from inside to outside. Like there was no use of a door.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Again, I feel like that's me being nitpicky, but like that was one thing that I would say about the set. The costumes for me were good. I felt like they were true to like the time period or like the vibe of the show.
Okay.
I didn't see one that really stood out to me that was like, oh, why is that there? I felt like for the most part, even the ensemble members were kind of cohesive with the kind of vibe that we were bringing to the show.
Did you have any standouts in the show?
I think for me there was a couple. Obviously, first and foremost, like, I really enjoyed Seymour, who was played by Cleo. For those of you who know who he is, Cleo, if you're watching. I really enjoyed your performance. I thought it was really authentic. He also looks really young, so it's like kind of like, you know, that it's easy to kind of bring in that like oh, like, you know, like very like nervous and like, you know, naive type thing. So I think he did a really good job bringing those elements to his character, and it felt very natural, and his singing voice too. Like, I feel like it was really good for the role. Like, I think it was cast well, and I think that brings me to my next person, which would be Audrey herself, Emily Garza. I feel like her portrayal of the character was very, very similar. Okay, so look. So I know I talked about in the last video about Little Shop where I really like when characters don't mimic the movie.
Yeah.
She did mimic the voice and like the tonality of who Audrey is in the film, but I honestly didn't mind it because she was consistent.
Oh, okay.
So I think for me, like, when you commit to like, I'm gonna, you know, pay homage to this portrayal of that character, you really have to stick with it. Like, I feel like if you don't, that's when I'm like, okay, like, you know, like, you know. But I feel like she was 100% consistent throughout the show with how she spoke, how she sang, and like all the little mannerisms that you like know and love about Audrey from the film. So I didn't really see it as like a copycat. I saw it more of like a respectful homage, if that makes any sense. So lastly, I do want to talk about Nathan Chavez. He played the dentist. So this was actually my first, hold on, let me go through my catalog. Yeah, I feel like this was my first in-person version of Little Shop. I say in-person because I have seen the rendition that Daniela brings up a lot with our friend Billy and our friend Tanner. I've seen that
it's
a lot.
It's on YouTube. I'll link it.
So
it's really good. It's really good. I'll link it at the bottom.
So yeah, so that was the first, like, well, obviously I've seen the film, and then I saw that Billy did and Tanner, and
those are my standouts for that show. Whenever Billy and Tanner.
But yeah, so I feel like this was my first time seeing the show, like, from beginning to end, like, in person. So Nathan Chavez played Dr. Oren. Is that the name? Oren? Or
DDS.
DDS, yes. He plays the dentist. I enjoyed his performance. I feel like it was very intense, like all the way through, which normally is a good thing. But I feel like in this aspect, it could have been dialed back quite a bit. I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to be over the top. I feel like it's about like the delivery of how you and your like presence on stage. And I feel like you definitely went there. Like, I mean, like, I'm not saying that you held back at all. And I'm not saying that you should have, but I feel like it's a matter of like coming into like who the character is, because he is a big personality, but he doesn't have to be big.
Yeah.
So
it's balance.
Yeah. So I feel like if there was that balance, I feel like you would have kicked it out of the park, because like honestly, like I feel like that was the only thing that was kind of like lacking for me. Overall the show was great. Like, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. Those were just some of the things I think I noticed about the show that stood out to me, or that I liked, or that I felt like I wanted more from. But honestly, like overall as a cast, you guys did great. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it was a really good show. Okay, so our next show, we're gonna be talking about Anonymous from PSJASWHS. This one we did see pretty early in the season too. I don't think it was as early as the other ones, but it was definitely like October.
Yeah.
Sorry. Welcome back. But yeah. So I guess I'll go to you. What was your first impression of walking in?
Oh gosh. Southwest never disappoints when it comes to their set. I feel like we went to a different part of the world, or a different part of someone's brain, man. They had really, really cool features to their set. They never close their curtains because they have so much set. And this is what I like, right? Like it's just, that's what.
Has a panic attack.
No, it's just like, okay, we talked about sets, right? Like minimal setting. They've never done that, and I appreciate it. And I think the only time that I saw them do minimal set was James and the Giant Peach, but there was a giant peach on stage, right? So that's minimal to me. I loved every part of that set, and I love always walking through that set and seeing different parts of different shows because they recycle. It's not that, you know, like, we don't know anything about their financials, right? But to me, it looked like they recycled all the stuff they had, and I loved it. I love when shows do that. They teach their kids that, again, you gotta use what you have and figure it out. Oh, they had a platform in the center of their audience, like, and you had to really sit far back in order for you to experience the whole thing. Which sometimes it took away from what happened on stage because I don't have the best eyesight. And at the moment I hadn't gone to the eye doctor. I don't have the best eyesight. And so whenever they did stuff like way far back, I was struggling to see what they were doing or focusing on that because there's so much going on. So I can see where that did not do them justice. But when they brought their scenes to the front, it felt so special. Like, and those actors are very good at acting right here. Like, they don't care. They don't care about personal space. You hate that. I love it. 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 It makes them so, it makes it so genuine.
I feel like as an actor, being in a show like that would definitely challenge me. Because I'm really about my personal space as a person, like as a human being. So I feel like being that close to an audience member, like in character,
I love it.
Is not it for me. But I mean, we're all about challenging ourselves, you know.
Yes, sir.
So that's definitely something that I would like to do in the future. Like that immersive experience, which Southwest is known for at this point.
Yeah.
But I like the new take on it because we were in their theater, not the black box.
Yep.
But it was still an immersive experience.
Yep.
I think the set for me, okay, like this next statement is gonna be kind of like how you don't know what you're talking about. It was just really dark. Like it was. I just wish there were certain moments that were kind of more lit. But like. I mean, it's just me being
no, like, I see what you're talking about, but I think that was the vibe they were going
See, and
with.
that's my thing. Like, I feel like it was intentional. Yeah. Like, I don't think it was like a misstep. Mm-hmm. But it was, for me, I guess, I don't know. Like, I guess I wanted to see more of it. Mm. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the set and how it was utilized. The different levels that it gave. There was like scaffoldings.
Oh. Good word.
That moved and stuff, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of these kids were freshmen and sophomores, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of them had never been on stage. So I feel like that, knowing that, the show took on a whole different meaning for me, I think. And not to say like, oh, it's because they're babies. Like, no, like I feel like it's for someone who hasn't been on stage before. It was a good show. It was. Like, knowing that, like, it's like if you go into a show thinking, like, these people have been doing it since they came out of the womb, right? Like, you expect it to be great, you know? But when it's great and then you find out that they've never done this before, it just makes it even better.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that says a lot about
we
not
had
only
a lot
them.
of that this season though. Like,
yeah. And I feel like it says not a lot only about them, but like their directors as well. Yeah. There were little things here and there I felt like I kind of lost within the story itself.
Let me tell you about that, because I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the writing.
Okay.
Right? Because I've never understood the show. Sorry, but I think it's the writing, right? Like, I don't think it has anything to do with them. I think they did their best to keep going, right? But it's just the writing. The writing, I don't like. I mean, I don't like it, but that's not their fault, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I could see that too, because there were certain instances where I was like, okay,
what?
Why?
Yeah.
Like why are we talking about it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't the whole show, but like
animal thing.
Yes.
A thing that looked like me when I wake up.
It was like a puppet. That was really cool though.
It was.
But for me, I was kind of like, what's going on? Yeah. So I think I can credit that to the writing then, I feel. Because I feel like, I mean, I understood what they were saying. I knew what was going on, but it was just like, there were those instances where I was like, hold on. And like, I didn't want to like turn and be like, what, did I miss something? Like,
alrighty, everybody. Well, that's gonna be it for today. We had such a blast talking about these shows. We had such a blast going to these shows. You guys already know this. We love seeing our friends. We love seeing new people. We're so grateful that we get to see these shows. But don't worry, because there's another review coming this week, and the school. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? They're gonna be Sharyland High School, The Wizard of Oz. We're gonna have PSJA Memorial, Freaky Friday, PSJA Bears with Ruthless, and Legally Blonde from the Harlingen Conservatory. I am so excited to talk about these shows this next week, but don't forget to always like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you later on this week. Bye! Well, then you have another one. Up or down?
down.
You got it! Congratulations.
You're still in the running towards becoming America's Next Top Model.
Guys, we're doing it.